welcome. It is I again, TJ, and welcome every Thursday night. I come out to you and we talk about real estate. We talk about everything else that we do at Empire Property Addicts. And it is a Thursday evening. And Thursday we call it Pass It On. And Pass It On is where you can come in and you can ask some questions if you'd like to, anything about real estate. But I all normally come in with a particular topic that we can talk about. And with that, we can then be able to discuss for the evening to say what is it that we're going to be talking to, for what, and we can help each other in the game of property. So it is good having you around. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're watching this and it's not live anymore, I appreciate you, even though you missed it at the live session, which is now. So without wasting time, we've got 15 minutes. And these 15 minutes that we've got, run about 7 minutes or so, I'm going to jump in to talk about today's topic. The other 7 minutes, it's dedicated to you. Yes, dedicated to you for you to ask your questions that you want to ask. Hey, you can ask about anything in real estate, and I can be able to cover that through for you. Number one today topic that we want to talk to is, I'm actually reading from a book actually. Yeah. The primary difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they manage fear. Yeah, I'm going to repeat that statement again. The primary difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they manage fear. I still regard myself as a poor person because I haven't started being able to give out my happy amount of money that I want to give out to the foundations that I have and things like that, right? So I regard myself as poor, but it's debatable because there are some other people out there that are like super poor. But the question here that we want to discuss here is not so much about, defining ourselves as rich or poor, but how can we get into the next step of overcoming the fear or being able to manage the fear so that we can be able to get onto the next level. So if rich people manage fear differently from the poor, how do they do it? It's a good question that we should be asking ourselves, right? Because we all want to be like the rich, or should I say, not that we want to be like the rich, but I think we all want to achieve better, especially in the areas of investments. But here's the thing, we do not go into investments because we are afraid. We are afraid of losing the money. We are afraid that maybe it might not work. We fear for the worst. This is my last money. I've worked so many years for this money. So there's many things that will come in. Do I trust this person even? All of these questions come up. And the real question that we should be asking ourselves is, do those that are making it big, do they also have the same fears? If they have the same fears, how do they overcome them? Right? Or do they not? So I want to read another chapter here, another sentence here, which says, once people have studied and become financially literate, once people have studied and become financially literate, they may still face roadblocks to becoming financially independent. So this statement here tells me that even though you're going to school to learn about property like what you and I are doing, you're coming to my school, we're learning, right? It does not bulletproof you that there might not be any roadblocks. There will be plenty of them. There will be issues. I face issues every day, right? So it goes on to say here, there are 5 main reasons why financially literate people may still not develop abundant asset columns that could produce a large cash flow. And on top of these 5 things, fear is the number one. which made me wanted to speak to the conversation tonight, because I was like, whew, am I the only one who's afraid? Right? Or, I don't know. The question I want to ask of you is, are you afraid to invest? Do you also get the giblets when you're about to invest? Right? It goes on to talk about other things. The other things that they talk about here is cynicism, laziness, bad habits, arrogance, and these are the top 5 that this book talks about, to say that, there are 5 main reasons why financially literate. So becoming literate doesn't mean that you're going to bank some money. No. The action after you got the financial literacy is the one that's going to produce more assets in your column, so that you can obviously bank some more money, right? Now, how do you then overcome the fear? Or when you are becoming financially literate, does it mean that you are no longer afraid? I can tell you right now, guys, I can tell you for a fact that many a times I look at some deals that we are doing and I'm like, whoo, 10 million. Where am I going to get 10 million from? 5 million. Where am I going to get 5 million from? And then I think, 10 million. And this building, how am I going to manage this building for 10 million? Immediately, fear starts crippling in me, and where there is fear, I can't think properly now, because I'm afraid. I can't take action because I'm afraid. Here is the thing. For some of us, we are afraid of dogs, right? Be it a Chihuahua or Pit Bull or whatever. The moment we see the dog, we freeze, right? We can't do anything. That's what happens to some of us when we think of investments. Like we freeze, we can't do anything. So here's the thing. If you are in the investment space and you are investing, at least you're going to get the reward of taking the risk. If you do not take the risk, you are potentially going to get the risk, you're potentially going to get the results of doing nothing. So doing nothing will give you the results of nothing, right? I am not talking about investing hundreds of thousands and millions. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the concept that we are all inherently fearful as people. We are fearful people, right? And being afraid, I want to say to you guys, 350 students that we have across 2 towns, Potchefstroom and Cape Town, 200 tenants that we've got across the country. Empire Property Addicts is in 5 cities: Durban, Pretoria, Cape Town, Johannesburg, Potchefstroom. Right. Yes, I'm the CEO of the business. Am I doing some of these things afraid? Yes. I'm having the giblies and I am doing it anyway. So, actually, there's a book that says, I think it says, do it anyway. Afraid, I think it says, afraid, do it anyway. I think it is. But here is the thing. So, how do you overcome fear? That's what I want to talk about today. Fear is always going to be there, right? It says here, for most people, the reason they do not win financially is because the pain of losing money is far greater than the joy of being rich. Seriously. Seriously. I'd rather have the latter. I'd be like, yeah, I would really love to have the latter. Let's take in another one. Failure inspires winners and failure defeats losers. Failure inspires winners, and failure defeats losers. If failure is inspiring winners, what does that mean? It actually tells us that actually the more you embrace fear in your doing of your investments, the more you are going to say, okay, how do I do this? So I want to talk about overcoming fear. Overcoming fear basically means that you need to understand what you are doing. Fear comes in when you don't understand what you're doing. Right? That's the first thing. Number two, you need to be educated on what you are doing or wanting to do. If you are educated, how can you be afraid? Yeah? You want to walk with people that have done what you're trying to do. Because if you're walking with a big brother who is this big, who's got more muscles than you, how can you be afraid? Instead, you walk around as if you are the one who's got muscles and you bump everyone because you know you got big brother, isn't it? I might be talking this in a clowning manner, but that's the reality. So at some point, I look at myself and I'm like, hold on, I'm afraid of doing that. And then I say, maybe because I don't have the rightful team member on my team to understand that. So I've just identified the risk. So what do? I go and look for that person. Hey, tell me, how does this finances work? It looks like we're losing money here. Hey, tell me, how does ABC work here? It looks like we're paying lots of money to SARS here. Right? Hey, tell me, is this all supposed to be like this? Because the builder built it like that. And an architect will come in and say, no, actually, they didn't do A, B, C, D. Now my fear goes away because I am working with other people that know how to do it. The same way with walking on a path. If you're wanting to do something, walk with those that have done it because they know the path to success. If you walk with them, you get there faster because you're not going to jika. And for that reason, when you get there faster, you can repeat the process more with ease. When they got there first without you, they were doing try and error. Maybe this is the road. Maybe this is the road. Maybe let's turn here. No, let's go straight. But for you, it is now a straight road because you're walking with people that have done it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it does not mean that you will not be afraid. I am consistently afraid. But my fear, the way I manage it, is a little bit different. I can tell when I'm afraid. Now I know how to manage it. With a therapist, she helps me on how to do things. But when I know how to manage that, then I am able to extend what I'm doing, to take the next boundary, to stretch myself of what I've never done before, to take my team to a greater place, to allow other people to come into my space and say, TJ, this is not how you do it. You can take it that way. And I can then be able to trust them. And I'm like, oh, then we can do it together. When we do it together, because now I know that you have done it before, the comfort of being in that community allows me to be able to do more. And fear, it does not go away, but at least I've reduced it. Does it make sense? If it's making sense, ladies and gentlemen, in the comments out there, this is all just about talking about some of the things that creep us for us not to be able to do great things that we want to do. And I know that I've just gone over the time here in terms of talking, but someone else is asking the question. It says, hey, TJ, So how do you manage it? I've just explained that, right? So that's the question there. Good, I've just explained that. Someone else is asking the other question. TJ, if you are afraid and we look up to you, are we able to even do these things? Yes, because you have done it. If you have done it because you have found someone who's done it. So in this case, you have found me. So your path is easier now, so you can do it. Right? Okay. Someone is asking the other question. Hey TJ, how's it going? Watching from Bloemfontein, and I've always been afraid of losing money, and it's safe for me to keep it at the bank. Yeah, it's one way of doing it. That's good, right? But I shall not mention any banks. But at some point, there was a bank that was just about to go under, and the other banks came to rescue it. So your money could have gone under with that bank. There's companies that close all the days, all the times. So if some of your money is there, you could lose money. I've lost money before. So is it bad for you to keep that money there? No, it's not. It's just the place that you're thinking that you should, it's safe for you, right? Safety is a perception. It's how you see it, right? But again, there is nothing that does not have any risk. Right. Someone here is saying, joining your live for the first time, I need to buy your books. And this is Bongani. How's it going? Welcome. And you can get the books on www. And I am going to give you the website in the comments there where you can be able to reach out and get the books delivered to your doorstep, all right, for the books, all right. Someone is saying, I think this is Edwin, how do you go about reducing your fear? Yeah, so I'm going to repeat that again. So it's about getting the right information when you know, right? So let me give you another example, right? You might have a plug by you, right? So I'm going to try to demonstrate here with a couple of things here, right? So we all know that electricity can electrify you and you can be dead, right? So in a plug, there is 3, right, connections in a plug, right? There's the green one, the orange one, and the blue one. I'm just giving you an example, but there's other colors in a plug, right? Okay. If you don't know how to connect it, you're going to be afraid because you don't know how to connect it. So when you connect them, you're going to think, whoo, I might burn the house. Whoo, this thing is going to blow off in my hands. Whoo. So there's many things that you're going to be thinking about. But if you get the education that green goes here, orange goes there, blue goes there, that reduces your fear already because you know you have been educated. If you're afraid, you're not educated. But you can still be afraid whilst you're being educated because sometimes it's now bigger. The deal that you're doing is bigger. I've never done a 10 million rand deal before. So the first time we did like a 15 million rand deal, I was scared. I was literally scared. And I said to my partners, Tureta at the time, I'm like, dude, are you sure we're going into this deal? It was a 16 million rand deal. First time. We've always been doing like 3, 4 million, 1 million, a couple of hundreds, and now boom, there's this 16 million rand deal. And we're like, should we do it? Should we not? What if things go wrong? But how come we never asked ourselves the same questions with the smaller deals? And the answer that I got at that time is we just need to add another 0. But when you add another 0 to what you are acquiring, then your team members also needs to increase. Hey, it is TJ. It's been great hanging out with you. I hope that I've been able to give you some value with this evening. And if it's good information, subscribe. That's number 1. Number 2, Share the information with others so that they can learn. Tell them on Thursdays we are live right here. You can ask me more questions and I'll be able to address them. Even though you may not be able to ask me the questions in the live, you are still welcome to leave a comment and I will certainly get back to you. My name is TJ. It's great to hang out with you. I will check you guys on the next video.